Hey, this is the World Advice Channel. What I want to talk about today is a topic that a lot of people I am certain are curious about, especially with the price of food and so on and so forth nowadays as it has gone up dramatically. Which, of course, is a question of is inflation gonna continue to get worse? So for this video, I will explain in a very clear, precise way for people who are not familiar with this topic if inflation is going to get worse or it's going to stay the same. So remember to watch and trust me, you will be quite informed. So anyway, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of inflation, the price of things going up, which has been a result of many different things from, of course, the COVID 19 lockdowns, mixed with, of course, the crisis that happened in Ukraine, and a few other things that contributed to how bad the situation is now when it comes to inflation. The truth of the matter is, inflation is something that's bad, and it's gotten really bad nowadays in places all across the world. Not even just in just America. It's all over the world. It's getting bad. So the question is, will it get any better this year or will it get any worse? So when it comes to answering that question, the simple answer to it is simply the fact of the matter is, I think if anything, surprisingly, I think it's actually going to get a better for from this year on to the next few years. Because the reason why I say that is that a lot of the things that that contributed to inflation, to be honest with you, from the COVID lockdowns all the way to of course the war in Ukraine, and and so on and so forth, all those things that contributed to inflation in the first place um are have been going on for years now. So since it's becoming kind of going on for too long, like with obviously COVID-19 being more and more of of a long distant memory, that, let's keep it real, all of us kind of want to forget. Pretty much all of us want to forget about that. Those days were not good days at all. So yeah, like obviously COVID, when it was you know, is now becoming a long distant memory, and no one even, I think, even remembers a lot of the things that happened in those days because it's been so long since the pandemic was not really taken, pretty much ended, and they just stopped focusing on that. So that was some time ago. So obviously the effect of that is going to kind of die down. Not to mention the war in Ukraine is gone on for since like 2022, I believe. So obviously the effect of that one is gonna calm down because it's kind of becoming clearer and clearer that yeah, Vladimir Zelensky is not gonna win this war. And Russia's gonna win. Not necessarily because they're much better militarily, but just because they have more people and more manpower, and they're just gonna simply rely on exhausting Ukraine. So that's the truth of the matter when it comes to that situation, and the situation in, of course, the recent situation, of course, that's going on in the world, just anything else that's going on in the world. Of course, you also have the Israel Palestine conflict, but it's a bad situation, but it's not in any place that's bad enough, that's important enough, aside from religious purposes, that it would actually encourage inflation. So yeah, the truth of the matter is, obviously, that I don't think would cause inflation. That's just more due to religious relics and stuff. Ukraine was a vital area that had a port, and of course had grains and stuff. So the situation in Israel and obviously Palestine, I don't think would impact inflation. Besides, inflation was bad, was there way before that conflict swelled up. So that has nothing to do with inflation. So all the things that obviously do with inflation relates to around the time inflation started to get so bad. So the truth of the matter is, yeah, I definitely think it's gonna start getting better this year overall because all the crises that kind of caused it have been around for some time, and well, they're kind of being resolved slowly but surely. So the truth of the matter is, of course, it's not going to be a magical shift like, oh, we're going to go back to prices like how they were before. But I do believe that it's gradually going to, get a little bit better this year so we can kind of live more comfortable lives. Even with all the future issues that we're obviously going to have in the future relating to things like obviously, the 2024 presidential election and all that stuff and all controversy related to that. All those situations, in all honesty, they'll be bad and there'll be issues, but I don't see anything really being so bad that will cause anything like the catastrophic. Because sometimes in life, you can obviously just kind of look at a situation and kind of tell, okay, I don't think anything this much more bad, anything is this more bad is gonna happen. Okay, because the truth of it is, you can just look at a situation sometimes and just tell and say, okay, nothing bad is gonna happen. Yes, we have China hyping up saying, no, they're gonna do some stuff to Taiwan, but they do that all the time. And with China's state of how terrible their economy is, I highly doubt they're going to do it. It's like North Korea. They're not going to do anything. It's all just hype in the end of the day. So that's one situation that is not going to happen. China's not going to invade Taiwan. It's all just hype to show how strong they are. So that's one thing that's not going to happen. It's not going to get out of hand. Or any other situation in the world that revolves around a world power, none of it, when you look at all the situations going on in the world, there's none of them that you can tell is going to escalate into something really bad. And if it's not something of that caliber, that revolves around like a political disaster situation like that, you can clearly tell, okay, then we're not going to have a bad situation, because all the really horrible situations in the world in some way, shape, or form are man-made. The most we might have is a natural disaster, but most natural disasters, literally just about all of them, are easily preventable and so on and so forth. And a natural disaster could not create things like inflation in the first place. Not much. Not unless we're talking about like 1500s like casualty levels, but it's very easy to prevent that many people from dying from natural disasters anyway. So the only thing that can cause it is more chaos in the world, like before, you know, like you know, like before, and I don't see any of that really happening. All the situation, the world is troubled, but it seems to be relatively stable. Aside from America, it seems everything else in the world is relatively stable. It's kind of the same old, same old, same old. And don't get me wrong, this is going to be a horrible decade, but at least I believe in the end of the day, it'll at least be relatively stable for these next maybe year or two, especially when it comes to inflation. So I think things are going to get a bit better. And to answer your question, the price of goods will start improving probably this year a little bit, not drastically, and a year after and a year after, it'll just kind of return back to some form of a normal. Because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that is that all the situations that caused it have been around for some time. So of course, it's going to die down, and things are probably going to reach some sort of new basic stable normal. It won't be like in the past. I doubt it. Where you could go to like McDonald's and get like a burger for like $10 and large fries and large drink for $10 completely. But you will definitely have a situation where things are relatively cheap, again, to a decent price. So that's everything I have to say for this video. If you like this video, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And that's all I have to say. And simply put it, later.